Hello, cohort. This is Karen Janka, and I'm here to talk about Activity 1, unpacking a standard that is embedded in our current unit, talking about standards and designing curriculum. And the standard I was looking at today is from Common Core State Standards, which we use in DC. And I'm focusing on first grade because I feel like that is sort of a pivotal grade, particularly for learning library skills. And the standard I picked is the Reading Informational Text 1.5. And in that standard, they talk a lot about using various text features to find information. So I'm going to read it to you. Know and use various text features, e.g., headings, tables of contents, glossaries, electronic menus, icons, to locate key facts or information from the text. So the big ideas from this standard that kind of pop out at me using the nouns and the verbs is the verbs are know, understand, text features to find key information in a text or a website. So not only do you have to be able to use it, but you'll have to know what it is. So because I tend to push into classes, use what they're already learning to teach them a skill as like a mini lesson. In this case, I decided to pick a skill, and that skill would be able to use a kind of a sub part of this standard, which is being able to use, identify web-based menus to look at websites to pull out key information to use in their lesson about animal survival. So some of the animals that they talk about, they go through birds, mammals, and I really like the reptiles section. I think it is very interesting to a lot of kids. They focus on frogs. So one or two projects or activities that I would engage kids in is teaching them how to use Pebble Go, which is a web based tool that has a paywall. It's published by Capstone, which is an American publisher. They make a lot of nonfiction books. I really like them for grade level informational texts, and I use them a lot and I buy them a lot for the library. But they have this web based sort of research tool, which is great at grade level. It goes like from 1 to 3. It has lots of really great features. First of all, you can translate it into Spanish. So our Spanish speaking students who can also read and write in Spanish, they have a great ability to complete work because they can flip between the English language and the Spanish language versions. And also, it will read to you. So it'll read the text to maybe some of the low level readers. So again, it differentiates for ability and concentration level. So in that case, I really like it. I think it's very accessible to all kids. And what I do is I pick two of the animals in their unit. So there's frogs, and then there's a very unusual bird, both of whom are actually in the PebbleGo database. And they do a research project where they learn how to use the menu at the top, which is kind of like breadcrumbs. And they use that to narrow their search. So they move from information about animals compared to biography. And then they narrow it one more time. So, what kind of animal do they need? And so they're going to look up amphibians and mammals. And then they learn to narrow their search one more time to differentiate between frogs and other kinds of reptiles. And then they narrow it to find the exact kind of frog they want. So, not only using breadcrumb navigation to narrow your search, but also pull the information from the text and put it in a graphic organizer. And the graphic organizer looks just like they were using for their paper-based nonfiction books. So they can, I feel like it's a good bridge between just finding information and how essentially reading a website is a lot like reading a book. So I do that for one or two projects. Usually they have 2 weeks to finish it. And then their culminating project, so I can assess their mastery, is they kind of have like a test at the end where I give them a third animal and then they have a limited amount of time and they will go through and answer questions about information that they would find on Pebble Go. So instead of writing down information that they learn, they're actually just using the breadcrumb navigation to find the topic, and then they're reading the topic to so I can assess whether they actually found what I want them to look for. So, and I've kind of addressed students who are above and below. Pebble Go does that on its own. And for some students, especially in first grade, kind of the first time we do this, I usually put them in pairs. So I'll put, high-low students together. And I think this really has been a very successful model for me in general, is to pair high and low for research skills, because often, even if your reading comprehension is low, your technology skills might be high. So, and those two things, it's kind of like reading and writing. Some might be a good reader, but not a great writer. Those skills can be different. So when I'm pairing them together, I'm trying to pick someone that's high in technology with maybe a really good reader for their grade level so that they have sort of a specialty in the pair. And I think it helps them learn from each other. It doesn't make the low reader sort of a little bit, kind of following along. They can actually be a leader and part of the team, which I really like. All right, thank you. Bye bye.